Derek was waiting at a coffee shop in the evening. He was expecting someone to arrive soon. He needed to figure out what happened, something which has no explanation. Perhaps the person he was waiting for could give him an answer. Derek Hoffman was a charming, fun-loving young man who lived in Jacksonville, Florida. He had recently graduated from college and was now working at a company as a business analyst. He was quite busy in his life, coming home every day extremely exhausted. Derek found his solace in a young woman named Alicia. Alicia and Derek first met when they were in college, and it was as if they had fallen in love at the first sight. It had been a long 4 years that they had been together. Derek was even planning to propose to Alicia once he landed a good job. But recently, Derek had noticed that things weren't going so well between Alicia and him. Alicia had suddenly become very distant. She started spending time with other friends rather than with Derek like they usually did every weekend. It was just when Derek came to know about a new guy friend that Alicia had been hanging out with, he received a call from Alicia one night. Alicia had called to tell him that she couldn't continue the relationship anymore. She didn't feel the way she used to feel when they first met. She explained to Derek how they both needed to meet new people before they could settle down in their lives. Derek quietly listened to Alicia give her excuses over the phone. Derek knew exactly what was going on. Alicia was interested in someone else. She didn't even have the decency to meet him to end their 4-year-long relationship. Derek put down the phone and went to bed. He was tired from a long day at work. All he wanted was to go to sleep and not have to worry about anything. But Derek couldn't fall asleep. He was wide awake thinking about Alicia. He was enraged. How could she do that to him? His heart burned in his chest. He felt disgusted at her actions. As a matter of fact, he was sick of women. The next morning, Derek woke up feeling a little better. He had forgotten what had happened the night before, just until he noticed one of Alicia's hairbands on his dressing table. Derek went around his house and tossed all that Alicia left behind in a cardboard box and threw it to a corner in his closet. He didn't want to see those things again. Derek went to work like every other morning, but he couldn't get his mind past the bad breakup. Every time he looked at a girl pass by, he thought it was Alicia. It reminded him of how she had dumped him, how she didn't care for him, how she only used him as long as he was useful. Derek needed some time off. He needed to get away from the city. He needed a break from women. It would be a long time before he would be able to trust another woman in his life again. On the coming Friday, after Derek got out of work, he planned to spend the weekend somewhere far. He decided to go to his family house in Covington, Georgia. The house was huge and spacious and surrounded by greenery. It was Derek's ancestral home that had been passed down from his great-great-great-grandfather all the way down the line to him. Of course, there wasn't anyone waiting for him there. No one lived in the house anymore. After Derek's grandparents had passed away, his mother and father had moved to a new house in New York, and Derek had moved to Florida to finish his studies. Once in a while, the family would host get-togethers at the old house in Georgia, but that ended up being once in every few years. Derek, however, would sometimes take a vacation from the city life and spend a few days out in Covington. He had even arranged to renovate the old house 2 years back, so the visits wouldn't turn out to be difficult to bear. Derek was eager to get out of Florida. He returned to his apartment and stuffed 2 shirts and 2 pairs of pants into his bag. double-checked all his windows, and locked his door. He didn't need much for the weekend. He was going all by himself and planned to stay all by himself for the next 2 days. He didn't want any communication with anyone, just some peace and quiet. Derek even planned to keep his cell phone turned off the whole time he would be there. He got into his car and started his 5-hour-long journey. He quickly stopped by the gas station and refilled his car and grabbed a few snacks for the way. By the time he reached the house, it was nearly 11 p.m. Derek parked his car outside the front gate of the house. It was quite dark. Derek took out his Zippo to light the way as he entered the gate. Derek was too tired to make anything for dinner. He finished the rest of the donuts he had bought at the gas station and went to bed and soon dozed off. It was a little past midnight when Derek woke up to a sound. His car alarm had gone off. After a while of hearing the irritating honk of his car, Derek lazily grabbed his car keys and turned off the alarm. He didn't bother getting up to check. Derek had soon drifted off again. But it wasn't before long that he woke up to the sound of his car alarm again. This time, Derek got out of bed and drew his curtains. From the windows, he had a good view of where he parked the car. He was surprised to see a young woman standing on the other side of the gate by his car. Derek grumpily slipped his Zippo lighter and his car keys into his pocket and planned to go out and see what the matter was. As he walked out of the front door, he noticed a beautiful young woman standing there. Derek wondered to himself where this girl came from at this hour of the night. There was no transport nearby. How did she get here? Derek stopped a distance away from the gate and finally turned the loud car alarm off with his key. "Who are you?" "I've been walking for so long now. I've probably left my car a mile away. This is the first house I've come upon in a long distance. My car broke down and my phone is out of charge. I desperately need some help." Derek stared at the young woman. She looked at him for a while and then kindly asked, "May I come in?" Derek had no clue who this girl was. But he knew one thing for sure. She had deliberately been putting the car alarm off to get him to come down. Derek had no wish to have any company at the house, and especially not women. He sternly said, "No, you may not. You've walked so far already, haven't you? If you walk 2 miles more, you'll reach a rest house. There's a small marketplace there. I'm sure you'll find something open. You can find help there." Having said that, Derek turned around and returned to the house. He got into bed and pulled up his blankets and tried to fall asleep. About an hour later, he woke up to the car alarm again. He dragged himself out of bed and looked through the windows. The young woman was there by the gate. Once again, Derek took his Zippo and went out. This time, the young woman seemed distressed. She said, "I went to the marketplace you spoke of, but everything is closed. I had to walk back all the way. I'm tired and my legs are giving up on me. There is no one around here but you. Please won't you help me? It will be morning in a few hours. May I please come in?" When the girl saw Derek's displeased reaction, she requested again, "Would you please at least allow me in so we could talk?" Seeing the young girl plead in desperation, Derek began to pity her and decided to offer her some help. "Hold on, I have to open the gate." Derek searched his pocket for his Zippo. He pulled it out and turned it on. But as soon as the bright orange flame lit up the gate area, the young woman vanished into air like smoke. Derek walked up to the gate. There was no one around. He walked out onto the road and looked around, but there was no girl in sight. After searching around for a while with the brightness of his lighter, Derek returned to the house. He was too exhausted to think about anything. He went to bed and woke up the next morning. Derek had planned to stay a day longer, but when morning came, he thought of heading back home to Florida. He locked up the property once again and dropped his bag into the back seat of his car. He turned on the radio as he drove along the empty road. He heard an interesting headline on the news. It was about the neighborhood he was in. Early morning, somewhere nearby, one of the men living in the area was found lifeless near his front gate. The strangest thing was, the man's body was completely drained of his blood without any injury. There was one thought Derek couldn't shake off since he woke up. The young woman that had come for help in the middle of the night. Who was she? Or rather, what was she? That's what happened. It was all very strange. She suddenly came to the house in Georgia, and it's practically located in the middle of nowhere. And just when I lit the fire to open the gate, she disappeared. It was as if she disintegrated into the open air like smoke. I haven't been able to make sense of what happened that night. Derek took a sip of his coffee as he finished his story. Aaron Moore leaned back in his chair and pondered on the matter. He then sat up straight and said, "Don't worry, Derek. We'll get to the end of this." Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.